after round 4 of the AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship. Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra had racked up 4 wins in a row, with solid support from teammate Grant McCleary, who was lying second in the championship. Two-time World Cup winner Paul Radishes partnered Cyril van der Merwe in the Sassel-Ford Mondeo team in rounds 3 and 4 in Cape Town. The New Zealander was in the points and the veteran van der Merwe in the wars. Young Cape Townian Genil de Villiers has been the touring car find of the season. For a young driver on his way up the ladder to success, a few mishaps are part of the motor racing learning curve. And de Villiers and teammate Nick de Waal are a formidable combination in the BP Nissan team. The BMW Envirocar team and reigning South African champion Sean van der Linde have found points hard to come by this season. For van der Linde's teammate Dion Joubert, the early part of the season has also produced its share of frustrations. The Rothmans Audi team with factory drivers Terry Moss and Chris Aberdeen has made steady progress in the early part of the season and has picked up valuable championship points. The early part of the season has also proved frustrating for the Toyota dealer team. Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Toyota Camry and teammate Mike White in the Minolta Camry have found points few and far between. German Group N star Sabine Reck has brought a touch of glamour to the AA Fleetcare series in the Motorplan BMW. The attractive blonde has yet to score championship points and has been a consistent finisher. The Tolman Motorsport team with Steve Wyndham at the wheel made its debut in Cape Town, while in Class B a tremendous rivalry has developed between unbeaten Kosi Swanepoel in the BMW 325 and Duncan Foss in the Accord Nissan Sentra. Put on your helmets and fasten your seatbelts because it's time for the action-packed AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship. 6 manufacturers and some of the best drivers in the world clash head-on in a formula which has taken world motor racing by storm. The AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship, Africa's most exciting racing formula. National Championship Motor Racing returned to the friendly city Port Elizabeth for the 5th and 6th rounds of the AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship on March 11. A huge crowd turned out at the Aldo Scribante circuit, but in the week prior to the meeting, Scribante ran into controversy. The AA Motorsport Safety Commission under Chairman Cyril van der Merwe cancelled motorcycle events at the meeting for safety reasons. Fears that car events would suffer the same fate because of a slippery track surface fortunately did not materialise.
The issue is that the circuit was very abrasive, and so the organisers decided to put some sort of a top down to make it a little bit less abrasive and the tyres would last longer, which in fact I don't think is a problem. It's what circuits do all the time. What happened after that, it became very slippery, and it was slippery at a certain point. The safety committee was going to have a look at it, and they decided last Thursday that everything was perfectly okay. Frankly, from there on, it's just been a mountain made out of an absolute molehill. The track is in perfect condition. It's a little bit slipperier on the inside of one of the corners, but that's just the dirt that's there, which would happen anyway.
It still is very slippery. That's why we've had to cancel the bike racing, because I think it would have been murder on motorbikes. What's happened since then is that the track is quite slippery all around, but I guess it's the same for everybody, and at least the track's not braking. The braking area into the hairpin, that was a major problem, seems to have been sorted out, and I think races will go ahead as planned, except for the motorbikes.
Former champion Mike Briggs arrived at Scribante, his home circuit, with a full house of points. Teammate Grant McCleary in second place in the championship underlined Opel Racing's early season dominance. On the tight Scribante layout, a good grip position is essential, and the controversy over the track surface gave added interest to official qualifying on the Friday afternoon. There was also a great deal of interest in the 2-time FIA World Cup winner Paul Radishes, with the New Zealander making his second South African appearance in the Sassel-Ford Mondeo. Tyre wear was always going to be an issue at Scribante, both in qualifying and in the 2 races. Mike White qualified 6th in the Minolta Toyota Camry, but was not entirely at peace with the situation.
At the moment, we've got a tyre wear problem with the setup of the car. On the tight corners, particularly here, we're having a lot of problems. We've got plenty of engine power, We've probably got more power than anybody else. We're quickest down the straights. We've got a lot of power, but we can't put it down on the ground. And so you have a big tyre wear problem because of that.
Like Mike Briggs, Rothman's Audi star Terry Moss was on home territory. The Audi Quattros are four-wheel driven, and for this reason many pundits were backing Moss and teammate Chris Aberdeen to upset the Opel applecart. Moss tended to agree.
We've got four wheels driving, and we've set the cars up very well that while they are driving, they're not sort of skidding and pulling the rubber off the tires. We've got four wheels to put the power onto the tarmac, and the front-wheel drives have got only two wheels to put the power down. And putting all the power down through two wheels and two tires, they must surely get a lot hotter, they must wear more, and our tires have got to last better than theirs.
The BP Nissan Sentra team, with Nick de Waal in third place in the championship, arrived at Scribante full of confidence. The Nissans have shown plenty of potential this season, with the team also expecting another good performance from rising star Geniel de Villiers, who is emerging as the touring car find of the season. The young Cape Townian was a little disappointed with fourth place on the grid.
We didn't quite get a clean lap, but that's the way it goes in qualifying. Sometimes you can't always get clean laps. But we were in with a good position there, and I think the main thing here on this track is to preserve your tyres. Take it easy in the beginning and try and be quick towards the end still.
There was plenty at stake for the BMW Envirocar team, the reigning South African champions. There were times when matters got a little animated in the BMW pits, but factory drivers Dion Joubert and Sean van der Linde responded. Joubert took second place on the grid with van der Linde right behind him, and driver thoughts immediately turned to tactics.
I'm hoping that I'll make a better start than Michael. We've got a tremendously long drag down to the first corner, and our cars are better off the line than a front-wheel drive car. So I'm hoping to be in front of Michael, and if Sean doesn't also get in front of him, I'll slow Michael down enough so that Sean will be hassling him. So that I should see as a strategy.
A frustrated Grant McCleary was forced to watch qualifying from the Opel Racing pits.
The session before qualifying, I went out and without any warning, coming through Chevy, which is about 160 k's an hour, the back right-hand bearing seized and it actually disintegrated, and all the bearings broke, and with that it took the wheel and the disc off the side of the car, you know, and it was pretty close. I had visions of piling the car up against the tyres.
While McCleary sat in the pits, teammate and championship leader Mike Briggs put the Opel Vectra on pole position, but was concerned about the proximity of the BMWs.
Probably a welcome return to form for the BMs. I'm not so sure that I'm pleased to see them there, but anyway, very good from their point of view. And it's just, you know, it's what I said from the first race. This formula is too competitive for any one manufacturer or one team to dominate. And, well, we're managing to hang out front, but there's nothing in it to choose now. BMW, of course, Audi are pretty close to the pace, and they're going to be pretty good in the race, so no predictions from me just yet.
Pole position for runaway championship leader Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra, and alongside him, Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar. South African champion Sean van der Linde in the second BMW heads the second row of the grid with Geniel de Villiers in the BP Nissan Sentra. Terry Moss was fifth fastest in the Rothmans Audi Quattro, with Mike White also on the third row in the Minolta Toyota Camry. Chris Aberdeen in the second Rothmans Quattro and a disappointing Paul Radisich in the Sassel Ford Mondeo share the fourth row. Cyril van der Merwe in the second Sassel Ford Mondeo and Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Toyota Camry complete the top 10. And now a technical update with the BMW Envirocar team running a new aerodynamic package at Aldo Scribante.
Okay, well, as you can see, the aerodynamic kit for the 95 spec is completely different for the one we've been using. The rules say that the front bumper may be modified in any way from the projected line of the underneath of the front door. BMW have obviously done a lot of extensive testing and come up with this package, which allows the air in the front of the car, in this central part here, which you can see, to be forced underneath the car and thus accelerating the air, which causes a low pressure. The high pressure inside under the bonnet causes a downforce on the plate, which goes backwards to the center line of the front wheels. The little splitter pieces on the side of the bumper are just to keep as much air from going in underneath these these sides and forcing air over the top of the car, thus increasing downforce. At the back, as you can see, the rear wing is completely different to the 94 spec. The 94 spec was a road car homologation, whereas this is a special FIA homologation for racing cars. The wing's obviously much higher. It's made to fit in the box, which is a specification in the rules. It's a lot lighter than our other wing. We're saving a lot of weight with this wing.
Stay tuned for more AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship action. The cars are out on the warm-up lap for round 5 of the AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship. There's a buzz of expectancy around the circuit, and this is Kersey Swanepoel, unbeaten in Class B this season. Swanepoel is second on the Class B grid behind Duncan Voss. Grant McCleary will start at the back of the Class A grid after having to miss official qualifying, and he will be one to watch in this race. There's a fair bit of cement on the circuit, which is still very slippery in places. All the teams will be conscious of tyre wear over the 20 laps, and this race could well be decided by whose tyres hold out the best. Canil de Villiers is fourth on the grid in the BP Nissan Sentra, as poleman Mike Briggs leads the field onto the grid. All the drivers will be concentrating on getting a good start, and the adrenaline will be pumping full blast. As Dion Joubert said earlier, a great deal will depend on whether or not the two BMWs can get ahead of Mike Briggs on the long run to the first corner. Cloud cover is starting to build up over Aldo Scribante, but there's no sign of rain. This is the view from the rear-facing race cam on the Joubert BMW, as Van der Linde peels off to take up his grid position with de Villiers alongside him. 20 laps in round 5 of the AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship, and the lights are green, and Sean van der Linde has made a tremendous start. Both BMW Enviro cars are in front of Mike Briggs, who was a little slow off the line. The BMWs are right where they want to be at the first corner, but Briggs is attacking up the inside. The two BMWs are out in front as the field streams through Continental Corner. A race cam replay of the start from the McCleary Opel Vectra, and someone got left behind on the line. It's Terry Moss, who was stranded in the Rothmans Audi. That's a blow for Moss and the Rothmans team. Back to the leaders, and Dion Joubert leads teammate Sean van der Linde with the two BMW Enviro cars ahead of Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra. Van der Merwe is under early attack from McCleary, and this is the view Canil de Villiers has of the battle for the lead up front. Joubert leads Van der Linde with Briggs third. De Villiers is fourth in the Nissan, Aberdeen is fifth in the Quattro, and Radisys has moved into sixth place in the Sassel Ford. He is followed by Mike White in the Minolta Camry, Nick de Waal and Anthony Taylor. Kersey Swanepoel leads Duncan Voss in Class B, with Terry Moss and Sabine Reck having to make up for lost ground. They are line abreast, approaching Conti Corner, and Briggs is attacking Van der Linde on the outside. There was a little bit of contact between BMW and Opel Vectra, but Van der Linde has held on to second place. This is the action from the Joubert race cam, and Mike Briggs has his work cut out. The two BMW drivers have got the championship leader right where they wanted him, and the start could not have worked out better for Dion Joubert and Sean van der Linde. The leaders are approaching the hairpin, and this is where the circuit is very slippery. The cars bunch up under heavy braking, with the drivers all taking a very tight line. A BMW is out in front for the first time in this year's AA Fleetcare Touring Car Championship, and race leader Dion Joubert has South African champion and teammate Sean van der Linde riding shotgun for him, with the two Enviro cars ahead of championship leader Mike Briggs and Canil de Villiers. Sean van der Linde locked up the brakes for a moment there, and he won't want to do that too often when tyre wear could be critical. Down the main straight, and the race order is Joubert, van der Linde, Briggs and de Villiers. Aberdeen is 5th, Radisys 6th, White 7th, and Nick de Waal 8th in the second BP Nissan Sentra. Then comes McCleary, Taylor and Van der Merwe. Race cam action from the Van der Linde BMW Enviro car. Van der Linde won't have any thoughts at this stage of putting teammate Dion Joubert under pressure. He'll be preoccupied with holding off Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra and Canil de Villiers in the BP Nissan Sentra. You can take poison on the fact that Sean van der Linde is going to make the BMW as wide as he possibly can. And already he is starting to take defensive lines through the corners. If Mike Briggs wants to get past Van der Linde and attack race leader Joubert, he's going to have to fight his way past Van der Linde. The die has been cast up front. The leading quartet are gradually pulling away from the chasing pack. Van der Linde is riding shotgun on his teammate, and de Villiers is clinging to the tail of the Briggs Opel Vectra. Grant McCleary started from the back of the field in the second Opel Vectra and is starting to work his way through the pack. He has Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Toyota Camry in his sights, and McCleary has picked up another place. Next on the McCleary list will be Nick Duval in the second BP Nissan Sentra. And here we have the situation in Class B with Duncan Voss in the Accord Nissan Sentra out in front of Kersey Swanepoel in the BMW 325. Voss started in pole position, dropped behind Swanepoel at the start, and has now built up a handy little lead. Swanepoel is unbeaten in Class B this season, but this time out it looks as though he has a fight on his hands. A terrific rivalry has sprung up between these two, and Voss would dearly love to win this one. The Class B field has picked up nicely this season, and that is Hein Lategan, a double South African champion in single-seaters in third place, behind Voss and Swanepoel in the Motor-built VW Jetta. Lategan is hanging on to the leaders, but there are problems in the pits for someone. That's another Class B runner, Don Brains, in the Opel Astra, and that doesn't look too good. Back to the leaders, and Dion Joubert has the headlights on as they approach back markers. The order is unchanged, with the BMW Envirocar pair of Dion Joubert and South African champion Sean van der Linde ahead of championship leader Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra. Van der Linde is still doing a great job of holding off Briggs, and the first three cars have pulled away slightly from Genil de Villiers, who is now in a lonely fourth position. Coming up for the halfway mark, and Dion Joubert leads his BMW Envirocar teammate Sean van der Linde. Mike Briggs is third in the Opel Vectra, and putting van der Linde under pressure. Genil de Villiers is fourth in the BP Nissan Sentra, with World Cup champion Paul Radisich fifth in the Sassel Ford Mondeo. Race cam action as van der Linde closes right up on Joubert under braking, but he still won't be thinking of challenging for the lead. There are no team orders in the BMW camp, but van der Linde will know his job is to keep Mike Briggs at bay and protect his teammate. Joubert would do the same if the roles were reversed, and this is good teamwork. Strange as it may seem, Mike Briggs has never won a touring car race at Scribante, and this is his home circuit. If he wants to break the ice, it looks as though he's going to have to pull something special out of the bag. We are just past the halfway mark, and it's around now that the drivers will be starting to worry about tyre wear. The BMWs are rear-wheel driven and in theory should be better off in this respect than the front-wheel drive cars. But you can never tell in motor racing. These cars are being pushed to the limit, and this is turning into the best AA Fleetcare race of the season. The battle for 5th and 6th, and World Cup champion Paul Radisich is under pressure from Chris Aberdeen in the Rothmans Audi. And Grant McCleary is up into 7th place in the second Opel Vectra after starting from the back of the Class A grid. This has the makings of a good scrap, but out in front it's still Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar, with Sean van der Linde doing a splendid job for his teammate by keeping Mike Briggs at bay. Van der Linde is still having to drive defensively and is not always on the right racing line. There's nothing illegal about it, but it's all part of the tactics he has to employ to keep Briggs behind him. But it does present Joubert with the opportunity to gradually edge away from his teammate and Briggs. There is only a second and a half separating the first three cars, with Genil de Villiers dropping back slightly in 4th place in the BP Nissan Sentra. This is another impressive performance from the young Cape Townian, but it's the battle going on behind him that it's starting to warm up. Paul Radisich in the Sassel Ford Mondeo has Chris Aberdeen's Audi right on his tail, and Grant McCleary is looking to make further progress in the second Opel Vectra. Radisich is also having to drive defensively to keep Aberdeen at bay, and as the cars accelerate onto the main straight, McCleary will fancy his chances of getting ahead of Aberdeen in the dash down to Conti Corner. The Opel is moving up alongside the Audi, but Aberdeen is not making it easy for McCleary. The cars are side by side, and McCleary has the inside line for the corner. Aberdeen has been squeezed out and McCleary is up to 6th. Aberdeen has dropped back to 7th and has Mike White right on his tail in the Minolta Toyota Camry. Now McCleary has his sights set on Radisich, and the Opel Vectra has come through the field after starting from the back of the grid. The Mondeo is looking a little twitchy, but McCleary won't find it easy to get past Radisich. The New Zealander is an experienced and tough competitor and is not going to move over and politely wave McCleary through. McCleary is attacking at the hairpin, but has locked up the brakes, and the Vectra has gone off the circuit. McCleary was a little optimistic to think he could get around the New Zealander at the hairpin and has paid the price. The Opel has dropped a couple of places, and that's Terry Moss going through in the Rothmans Audi, and McCleary has to start working his way through the field once again. Back to the battle at the head of Class B, and Duncan Foss in the Accord Nissan is still out in front of Kersey Swanepoel in the BMW. Swanepoel is the son of the legendary Kersey Swanepoel and has not been beaten this season, but is under the whip at the moment. Foss took pole position but dropped behind Swanepoel at the start. He then built up a handy lead, but it looks as though the BMW has closed the gap a little on the Nissan. Oh dear, problems for someone, and that's Anthony Taylor in the Castrol Toyota Camry, and his race is over. The race is far from over, though, for Dion Joubert, who still leads teammate Sean van der Linde with championship leader Mike Briggs in third place. Van der Linde is still doing a magnificent job of holding up a frustrated Briggs, and Joubert has earned himself a slight cushion with just 2 laps to go. Joubert has put 2 seconds between himself and the Van der Linde-Briggs battle, and race distance is running out for Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra. It looks as though Briggs could lose his unbeaten record this season in front of his home crowd, and that is the man out in front, Dion Joubert in the BMW Envirocar. Back now to Grant McCleary, and once again he's fighting his way through the field after going off at the hairpin a lap or 2 ago. Up ahead of him is Terry Moss and Cyril van der Merwe in the Sassel Ford Mondeo, and they are right on the heels of Nick de Waal in the second BP Nissan Sentra. The Rothmans Audi is looking a little battle-scarred, and Moss has also had to fight his way through the field after being left on the start line. Whoops! More problems for Terry Moss, and that is Cyril van der Merwe, who has taken a thump from the Audi. More race car action from Grant McCleary, who is back into 8th position and attacking Mike White in the Minolta Camry. McCleary makes up another position and is back where he was 4 or 5 laps ago, with Chris Aberdeen's Rothmans Audi and Paul Radisys in the Sassel Ford Mondeo up ahead of him. In the Rothmans Audi pit, team manager Bernie Mariner is looking a little stern. Mariner has cause to look a little worried, with Chris Aberdeen again under attack from Grant McCleary. This time around, the Opel Vectra is not quite close enough to the Audi to get past under braking, and McCleary is going to have to think up another plan. Paul Radisys is clinging onto 5th place in the Sassel Ford Mondeo, but is shortly going to come under pressure from both Aberdeen and McCleary. Mike White is also still in the picture in the Minolta Toyota Camry, and this battle is far from over. McCleary had a look on the inside, but Aberdeen chopped across his bows. This is the hairpin where McCleary went off 5 or 6 laps ago, and this time he keeps a much tighter line as he closes up on Aberdeen under braking. McCleary might have given the Audi a little nudge there, just a gentle reminder to Aberdeen that the Opel is right on his tail. Mike Briggs is still on the tail of Sean van der Linde, but is still in 3rd place. Dion Joubert leads Sean van der Linde and Briggs as Hein Latergan wisely moves over in the Motorbill Jetta, and the race leaders are on their last lap. Now can Mike Briggs come up with some last gasp heroics? Not if van der Linde can help it, and once again he is making life difficult for Briggs, and there is no way around the BMW Envirocar as van der Linde defends the inside line and gets a tap from the Opel for his troubles. There are 2 tremendous last lap battles going on, one for the lead, and this is the other, with Radisys, Aberdeen and McCleary scrapping over 5th, 6th and 7th. Once again, McCleary is up alongside the Rothmans Audi, and this time he's got the momentum to get past. The Opel nips in front of the Audi to defend the inside line, and Mike White in the Minolta Camry is right there with them, and this is going to be a grandstand finish. Here come the leaders, and Dion Joubert looks as though he's going to win it. He's got a comfortable cushion over Sean van der Linde in the second BMW Envirocar, and van der Linde has done a tremendous job in shielding his teammate from Mike Briggs in the Opel Vectra. Briggs has never won a touring car race at Aldo Scribante, and he isn't going to win this one. Dion Joubert is into the last corner with headlights blazing, and Sean van der Linde is still fending off Mike Briggs. This has been a superb race, and it's the BMW Envirocars that will finish 1st and 2nd, with Mike Briggs 3rd. A 1-2 triumph for the BMW team, but there's still drama out on the circuit with Grant McCleary up into 5th place. McCleary has got past Paul Radisys in the Sassel Ford Mondeo right at the death, and is in the points after starting from the back of the Class A grid. A tremendous performance from McCleary, but there's also a change in Class B, and Kersey Swanepoel is going to keep his unbeaten record, with Duncan Foss slowing down with a gearbox problem. And there is the top 10, with Dion Joubert and Sean van der Linde out in front in the BMW Envirocars to put an end to an unbeaten run of 4 wins in a row from Mike Briggs and the Opel Vectra. Khalil de Villiers, Grant McCleary and Paul Radisys are also in the points. A happy moment for Dion Joubert and reigning SA champion Sean van der Linde.
I was hoping to get in front of Michael at the start, and not in my wildest dreams did I imagine that Sean would also get in front of him. And I knew when that happened that probably I could win the race. Didn't make it any easier though. I was trying to get away from them, but I really couldn't, you know. But I'm very pleased with the outcome.